I'm a little drunk.
That's all right.
All right.
What'd you do? What were you doing? Just regular drinking?
Yep.
Just regular
Started
afternoon?
a little early.
Just a regular afternoon. Well, we're back from our extended holiday hiatus. It was a good time, but it's behind us. And New Year's is supposed to be a time for reflecting, but I think I've done all the reflecting I can do. I don't want to rehash the last year or the last 2 weeks. I'm all holidayed out. But quickly touch on resolutions. I know they're about change, so you have to do some reflecting or self-analysis or whatever, but I think it's about moving forward. I just want to go forward from now on. Are you a resolutions kind of person?
No. See, New Year's is great, mainly because the activity is drinking. Not like Christmas isn't about drinking because that's what I make it into. Thanksgiving's typically about drinking. Probably just
This one, it comes already prepared.
the psychoanalysis of me. Yeah, I mean, if you're too cool to drink on New Year's Eve, well, turns out it doesn't really matter what your opinion is, because I'm a drinker, so I can do without you.
You don't have time for that.
That's right, banished. I don't know. I don't. The thing I don't like about New Year's is like all these people who pick January 1st as like an arbitrary date that they're now gonna make your life better. Oh, now that it's January 1st, I'm not going to be a fat fucking slob. So it's like, it drives me crazy. Like, it wasn't important enough to go to the gym on November 30th. But now that it's January 1st, everything's going to be different. I'm going to start eating salads with no croutons. It's just one of those, it just feels like one of those other made up things that's just pushed on you from society that becomes a burden. It's like, you have to hold the door for the person behind you. When it's reasonable, okay. But then all of a sudden, someone's holding the door open for me. I'm 5 miles away. Now all of a sudden I have to run to the goddamn door because they're still holding it open while I'm 15 miles away.
So you're saying New Year's resolutions are unreasonable?
It's like a drug addict. You're not going to get help until it's time to get help. So, you're not going to not be fat until it's absolutely necessary, or like you hit rock bottom. And just because it's January 1st, it might be nice to say.
Yeah, but it's like, it's a definite date. It's like, I understand what you're saying, and I agree to an extent, but it's like a symbolic day. It's a totally new thing. You get, I guess it's
totally fabricated.
Yeah, it's made up, but
I don't know. If I'm going to reflect, which I try not to, because typically it's painful, but if I were to, I think reflection should be like on your birthday. So like you've made this whole year of growth, or did you? You know, I don't know. I mean, it marks one full year of aging, and then if you want to reflect then, okay. You have my permission to reflect on your life now. But,
so you didn't make any resolutions?
No, I didn't even think about it. Didn't even cross my mind.
That's fine.
But since it was your birthday,
yeah,
this is kind of my excuse for not insulting you.
Thanks.
For having resolutions. I think that typically you're probably a better person than me. So,
well, they're not really. I don't really make. I guess they're more like goals, but I guess that's probably the same thing. I mean,
like goals to accomplish this year?
Yeah. Yeah, well, if you're going to be specific, yeah. But there's some general ones, too, that I guess are more like resolutions. I mean,
so
I'm not
like
going to be in trouble. It's not like there's a deadline. I'm not going to be in trouble if I don't do it. I'm not going to get fired or anything.
Yeah, so what's a deadline good for? If you're not going to...
Motivation, maybe? I don't know.
From who? Yourself?
Yeah, I guess so. Sometimes you need a little push.
I read something on the internet today that was like 7 bad thoughts that you shouldn't have.
What's one of them?
Every single one applied to me. It was like
I think that all the time.
cynicism, anxiety, and then there was like, oh, it was terrible. It's like doom and gloom. Every single one, I was like, I'm gonna be dead in a year.
You're like looking in the mirror.
Yeah, this is terrible. I almost put it on Facebook, but then that's like the stuff people put on Facebook and then like do something stupid. Like,
What do you mean?
I don't know, like go shoot up a school and they're like, oh, look at all the signs on the Facebook.
All right. Well, I mean,
And I hate Facebook on the holidays. It's ridiculous.
yeah.
If I had any balls, I'd get rid of it, but I don't. But seriously, if you went on Facebook, it said Happy New Year's at least 25 times.
Yeah, it wasn't very.
Well, be creative or keep your Happy New Year's to yourself, dick.
Over Christmas, I didn't open the computer one time. It felt very cleansing, I guess. Today was a shock to the system, going back to work.
Yeah, you have to check Facebook. Anything's better than work.
Yeah, I was. I saw everybody. But
You saw everyone on the Facebook?
everyone was there talking about how great they are and how much fun they had.
Sad they have to go back to work. Everyone's so sad.
Well, work sucks.
I had 1 day off in the last 2 months.
Well,
Not including January.
what day off did you? Oh, Christmas.
Yeah.
They gave you Christmas off.
They gave me Christmas off. I got New Year's off too, but that doesn't really count much.
All right. Well,
How was the
sometime
birthday?
ago-
How was the birthday?
my birthday?
Yeah.
It was nice. It was the first time I didn't go out.
You didn't go out
No, stayed home
the whole night.
the whole night.
You ready for kids?
I don't know. Well, we were leaving early the next morning, and I just
Yeah. Did you drink?
yeah, a reasonable amount. It wasn't. I guess like an adult would drink.
Oh, terrible.
That's terrible.
I went out and we drove to Buffalo. It was a better idea than it sounds, but it wasn't a good idea.
So it wasn't that bad.
It wasn't. It was good. It only took like 3 hours to get there, which sucks. But New Year's Day, you don't do anything anyway.
Right.
So the problem is going that night. But
Time to get there.
I was able to get. They let us out of work early, which was nice. I was gonna ask to get out.
Expect that?
What?
Did you expect that?
No, but then I got there and they were. I heard like the girls who were always complaining about it, and he was like, they said something to the boss, and the boss was like, they're like, we should be able to leave at 11. He was like, well, maybe you're staying until 5:30 now. And I was like, I don't know if he's kidding or not.
You're like, you bitches.
But I was hoping that he'd let us out early, and I didn't have any vacation time left, so I was gonna try to like swap it out, like on Wednesday. I'd be like, I'll take the vacation Monday, and then just charge it on Wednesday, since it's a new year.
Right.
But I I am a pussy about it. Like I feel bad asking for time that's not mine. So like. Jenna kept on asking, when you leaving? And she was like, it's okay if you don't, but I knew that she wanted me to leave, you know? So I was like, well, if they don't let us out by 2, I'll go talk to him. So 2 comes around, and he hasn't let us go, and she asked me, and I'm like, So I kind of just pushed out. But thankfully I didn't ask, because he let us go at like 2:15. Or I would just look like the biggest prick ever, just going in there. Well, I'm leaving. I don't care if you're letting us out early or not. But
you had a good time, though.
Way off track. Yeah, I went to my buddy's house, started drinking beers. I was like, let's take shots. He's like, I don't want to get too crazy. Basically, he was saying, don't get too crazy, dude.
Yeah.
But then I went to the bar went to this, it was like an open bar at like a hotel. And I just got I double fisted whiskey all night. Ended up really well.
All right, well, that's good.
No good story. Just drunk.
Yeah. What are we supposed to do today? What are we talking about today?
We're just fucking talking. I think my New Year's revolution. I always do that. Resolution is to just not give a fuck anymore. And we can talk about whatever we want. What do you want to talk about? Movies? We're talking about movies.
Movies. Yeah, we made our list. A while ago, we talked about making our own lists. And it was more difficult than I thought it would be. I thought this would be an easy one to start with, movies. Just our top 10 movies. But, 10 wasn't enough.
Not at all. I don't know what a normal person would do, but I feel like maybe everyone would be like this. Because 90% of the households I go to have 1,000 DVD collection. You know?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I have all these DVDs. Well, I don't know what I'm getting at. But, I feel like I watch too much movies. There's usually at least 5 good movies a year, eh?
That might be pushing it, but
You
around
think?
there, I guess.
I was going to say 10.
10 good movies a year.
10 movies worth watching.
10 movies worth watching. Okay.
I mean, I think the hardest part for me was placing a newer movie amongst older movies that I've grew to loved over time. You know, a new movie that would just come out. I think is hard, but
to give that the same esteem.
Yeah, but to my philosophy, I feel like that any newer movie should be judged against the older movie, and
right. What else are you going to judge it against?
Right. So if it's as good as, but it is hard because you just don't know if it's going to carry the same weight.
Yeah,
with
maybe
you.
it just felt that way on that day or something. Well, what was your criteria for your list? I mean, did you just do classics? Something you think everybody should see? Your personal favorites? What did you use to make your list?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think I'm a little bit, like I've said before, I'm a movie snob kind of guy. So everything I like, everyone should like. It's just not even a fucking question. But no, every movie I watch, every movie I have on my list, I love. And if it ever come on HBO or even a TV movie, depending on how much it would be compromised, I don't like to watch them when they're compromised, But I will watch it every time it's on TV. It's one of those things where I could watch it a million times and still be just as happy with it.
Still just as good.
That's one. Two, I think. There's some. I tried. Most things that resonate with me have some kind of cultural significance, whether I realize it or not. I think most people that put together a movie, direct a movie, write a movie, are trying to make some kind of point. Whether I give a shit what it is another
Even if they're
story.
trying to make you laugh, they're trying to make you laugh about something.
Right. And I also like the wow factor.
What's the wow factor?
Usually people dying. I'm a big fan of people dying at the end of movies. I want to see you die.
You like to see an ending.
I want to see an ending. I want something wow.
You like tragedies.
I love it. I think, and I don't know if it's because I write or what, but when I think about it, it's so this is, the writer is doing this, and it's their character. What are you going to do it with them? Write a sequel? Shut the fuck up. Kill the motherfucker. It's not real. Get the person as attached to that character as you possibly can, then blow their fucking brains out. That's how I like it. But
there's two ways. Traditionally, there's two ways. It's either a comedy or a tragedy. Everybody dies, or they get married. It's either happily ever after, or terribly, terribly sad. And you seem to go for the terribly, terribly sads.
Yeah, I'm pretty emo.
Pretty down. You're a downer.
Give me some Zoloft.
Well, we'll see. We'll go through them. We'll see. For my list, I went with personal favorites. My personal top 10, because I didn't know how else to do it. The only judge of my list is me. And like you, I don't think I'm as snobby as you. but I can be. I mean, I think all the movies on my list were critically praised in one way or another. Like, they're all good movies. I don't like shitty movies. You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't like shitty movies, but
You know?
no,
But,
I mean, I think that's probably the.
I didn't take that into factor. I didn't factor that in, though. I wasn't like.
Well, you just have good taste.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
maybe you're more original with your
I
thoughts.
doubt that.
Maybe. I mean, that's probably the only way to do it and feel comfortable with it. I made it.
Personal favorites.
Yeah, like you can be completely comfortable with like. That's what I like. So if you don't like it, go screw. You know.
Right. Well, all right. We want to get started. We want to do number 10.
Yeah. So what do you want to do? Do you want to do 10 and I'll do 10, or?
We'll go back and forth, and then if there's any that overlap, we'll just get to it when we get to it. All right, my number 10 was L.A. Confidential, 1997. I love detective movies, detective stories, and this is my favorite one of those. When you think of detective stories, you think of the 50s, you think of L.A., and you think of noir and all that. But the problem is, a lot of those old noir films, they're like hard to get into. You know, those black and white, shadowy ones. I mean, the stories are okay, and the atmosphere is cool, but it just seems like it's, I don't know, not polished or something, not accessible. But this one is like very Hollywoody, but original. Does that make sense?
Yeah, those older ones are always like one of those things where like I should like this,
right?
And then I never don't, or I never do.
You see why you should like it. You see all those pieces.
Right.
Just, it's a movie. You know, it seems fake or something.
I saw L.A. Confidential in a slew of other movies. I was kind of surprised when I saw that you picked it at 10. And then I went back and I was like, this was when I was watching those movies on Turner Classic Movies with the Oscar thing in college. Yeah. So I was high. But but like I remember watching, I remember the plot, and then I went back and looked at it, and I was reading about it again. I was like, that was a fucking good movie. Now that I think about it,
yes, movie. Like the story's cool. It has everything. It has the detectives. They're all working on their own angle. They all have their own personalities.
I like that too. I like that a lot. This doesn't make any sense, and I can't say his name. What's that dude? The Gravity Rainbow dude.
Thomas Pynchon.
Yeah. I read a couple books by that guy.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that.
Well, that one that he's making now, or the one that he just wrote, what was it? Inherent Vice?
Yeah. Yep.
What's his name? Paul Thomas Anderson. That's his next movie.
I bought that book, started reading it, and just wigged out and didn't. But
but this movie's good. It has everything. It has all those elements, those detective elements. It has the detectives who are working on their own. They're cops, so they're part of the force, but they're like not on the team, I guess, you know. And then there's the femme fatale, the lovely Kim Basinger, looking lovely.
Yes.
I guess. She was a little past her prime, though, I guess, acting, but she was still gorgeous.
And and she played a prostitute, so.
Yeah, she was like the older prostitute. She's probably the best good-looking older prostitute they've had for a while on...
Yeah, better than anything you find at erotica.
Yes, Kim Basinger is better than anything you'll find at erotica. But along with that cast, I mean, Guy Pearce, this is my first introduction to Guy Pearce, and Russell Crowe, who kicked ass in this movie, and then Kevin Spacey doing his thing, and Danny DeVito. I mean, booze and sex and violence, just a good movie.
Yeah, and it was. Guy Pearce is severely underrated. It's pretty much everything he does.
We lost his mind for a little bit.
Is worth watching. Yeah, well.
I think
haven't we all?
No.
No.
I'm working on it. What's your number 10?
You still got it. American History X.
All right.
1998.
Late 90s. Was that?
1998, yeah.
Okay.
I remember seeing that movie in high school and being like, holy shit, what are they doing, you know? It was like, it's such a racism's such a heavy subject, and I like to think that our generation is a little bit past it. Even if we're not completely past it, we
One
don't have.
step closer.
What's that?
We're one step closer
Yeah,
past it.
like even if you do have, or people do have racist tendencies, they're nothing of what your grandparents had.
Right.
And it sucks that it's like little steps to that, but as history has proved, it is. But either way, I think this movie shows that the dad of these guys were a little racist. He goes on a rant at the beginning of it, and it kind of pushes the son into it. And it really is just showing, because like at the beginning, he's like, I think he was doing what's that dude's name? Douglas?
Who?
Wrote that book. Frederick Douglass.
I don't know.
The slave that wrote the book after, obviously.
Oh, Frederick Douglass?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was reading that in school, and the dad's like, don't go believe in all their N-word shit. And then he was like this smart kid, top of his class, and then things go bad. And so it shows him as a smart young kid transform into this like terrible neo-Nazi guy. But the problem with that is that the guy was smart, you know? It's one thing to have a fucking moron as the neo-Nazi guy, but then as soon as you have this smart guy as the neo-Nazi guy, you can talk other people into doing shit that they shouldn't be doing.
It's like dangerous.
Right. Yeah, as soon as you have someone that's influential, in power, and you start talking to a bunch of kids and bending shit to make them think what they thought before, but wrong. So then he turns into this guy, and then he becomes a reformed guy after he goes to jail. And I think one of the best parts, or what works best with the movie, is that he comes out as a reformed man talking. So it's like this guy's been there and done that, even if it's just a movie, you know. It's always good to have someone that was there. He thought the one thing, now he's completely different. And I mean, there are scenes in this movie that are just, the acting is magnificent by Edward. Ed Norton fucking killed it. And
yeah, he's really good.
It was like, some of it was
there for a while.
So disturbing too. At the same time, it was acted so well. It literally made you want to turn away, but you can't because it's so good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, this is an excellent movie, and while, like, I'm not part of that world or know anything about that world at all, it felt real, you know? And it was, like, too real in some cases, you know? Like, I thought it was good when I saw it, but when I saw it on your list, I guess I wasn't surprised, but it was something that never stuck out to me, and I can't say why. But
the way, I think another way that it worked so well was the way that it showed. So they came back, they show him reformed at the beginning, and then they do everything in flashbacks. So, like, the way that it happened is, like, the events that caused him to become this person, they show in flashbacks, and it makes you feel for the character, too. Like, it doesn't, no matter how misguided someone becomes, if you show some heartbreaking shit, like his dad was a fireman that got killed trying to put a fire out at a crack house because they didn't want to get caught or something. And no matter how misguided anyone becomes, if there's this heart-wrenching story behind it, it kind of offsets it. Only if you have that reformed story at the end. Like,
there's redemption.
Yeah.
There has to be a redemption story.
Right. So I don't want to go on too long. I think the movie is culturally, yeah, and I think it's culturally significant because I think there's a lot of households, white suburban households, that have an element of kind of what the dad brought. He's not violent. He's not this or that, but he still talks down upon another race of people, which is not right. And it kind of illustrates how people are. You can influence. Words are so powerful in what you say.
Yeah.
And then, like the ending, it's possible for everyone to change because they change, you know. But it's also important to remember that if you change, you still are responsible for the actions that you have done in the past, you know.
Right. You're still you, even if you're a different you.
That's right.
All right, let's lighten it up.
Lighten it up a little bit.
Let's lighten it up. My number 9 is The Royal Tenenbaums. My favorite Wes Anderson film. And I love this film for many reasons. When it came out, his thing was still pretty new, but I think this is the definitive Wes Anderson style. From the shots, to the sets, to the wardrobes, to the story. It's the characters. You know, the characters are what stand out. It's what I love. It's like a postmodern J.D. Salinger story, with all the characters' flaws just boiling over. It's the best thing I've ever seen Gene Hackman do. He's so funny when he's talking to, what's that dude's name? The black guy?
I don't know.
The dude from Lethal Weapon.
Oh, Eddie Murphy?
No, not Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
Whatever.
Oh, Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, yeah. He's in his robe, he's smoking a cigarette, and he's like, "What's that, Coltrane?" And he's like, "What'd you say?" He's like, "Nothing." Angelica Houston's great, and this is my favorite Gwyneth movie.
What else is she even in? How did she become famous?
Shakespeare in Love.
Oh, that was a terrible... That movie was okay, but... Fuck.
Yeah, it wasn't...
It wasn't that good.
And there's the surprise from Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller actually acting instead of just playing a version of Ben Stiller.
I hate Ben Stiller.
Well, I like this Ben Stiller.
Yeah,
he's funny when he's doing his thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a screwed up family from a different time, but it's like a romantic New York, and it's these real people in it. And then there's Alec Baldwin killing it as the narrator. So it's just a fun movie. It's a family movie with messed up people in it.
I really like that movie as well. I don't think I would have put it on the list, but Wes Anderson is. I appreciate originality almost more than anything else when it comes to movies. I mean, obviously you have to have a good plot and all that good stuff, but even if I don't really understand directing, I feel like it still comes off to you when you watch it. Like, even if you don't know what you just watched, it's still there and it still resonates with you.
Right. Well, that's what's good. You know, I think showing off as a director takes away from the film. You know what I mean? Like...
So Tenenbaums over Rushmore, eh?
Yeah. Definitely. Rushmore was the breakout, the original, but I just liked the family aspect of it, and I liked sort of homages to like old books, like when you're a kid, like J.D. Salinger, The Secret Files of what's her name, when they go to the museum and stuff. I don't know, it's just all cool, and I like the soundtrack. The soundtrack kicks ass. They always do.
Did you see Moonrise Kingdom?
No, I have it on my computer, but I'm waiting.
Oh.
I don't know why.
It looks so good. I can't get anyone to watch it with me. But I heard it was one of his best.
Best. Ed Norton, Bill Murray.
Hey, Bruce Willis.
Yeah. What's your number 9?
9. Number 9. Engine number 9. Atonement. I love Keira Knightley, dude. Love her.
Yeah. I'm a Keira Knightley fan.
It's the only love story on my list. Thought it'd be a good idea to have one. I love the movie. I love the period pieces. It's a book, but they did a great job with the adaptation. I think the idea was great. It has that twist in it. And this is just one of those movies that I loved. That's all.
I haven't seen it. I mean, I don't know where I was around, 2007, 2008?
Yeah, when was it? 2007.
Yeah. But I don't know what I was doing, but it really never entered my radar. But I am a Keira Knightley fan.
Dude, you got it. You got it. James McAvoy is
he was great in X-Men.
Oh, he's great in Atonement, too. It was just one of those... It was expansive. It follows... It's not just set in one place, you know?
Okay.
And it, like, expands through a war and all kinds of good stuff. And it was like two soulmates that just weren't meant to be. So it's kind of on my level, I guess.
Oh, okay.
This movie is like a Nicholas Sparks movie that was written by a real author.
By a real writer?
Yeah. It was great. Love it. I suggest... I mean, it's worth seeing. I put it at number 9.
Number 9. Right. Let's go. Number 8. We just can't get away from Ed Norton here at the beginning. Fight Club.
Fight Club's a good one.
Fight Club. This movie is cool. That's a pretty shitty way to describe something.
Period.
It's really bad. But there's no really other word for it. It's just a cool movie. From the beginning with like the title sequence going through like the brain.
Yep.
Like synapses and the music and just the look, everything. Brad Pitt as Tyler Durden is just the coolest motherfucker there is.
That was Brad Pitt's like breakout role.
No, not breakout.
Yeah.
No. Maybe to you.
What was he in before it? I don't want to go here because we don't fucking know. But he wasn't in much.
99.
Alright. He was in 7 in 95.
There's his breakout. That's when he was a movie star. This is when he was the coolest man on the planet.
Alright. I'll give it to you.
But it works because you want to be him. You know, he looks cool. He's confident. He acts cool. He dresses cool.
He's fighting people.
Yeah, he doesn't care about work. He doesn't care about the establishment. He says, let's destroy it and start with ourselves.
The best is when good-looking people don't care about them being good-looking. That's when you like somebody like that.
So I wouldn't go to this movie as a roadmap for how to live your life, actually. But a little bit of Fight Club in your personality will go a long way to like making you not a total dick. You know what I mean? Like the philosophy's there and it's sound. I mean, you can't take it all the way. You can't totally drink the Kool-Aid, but a little bit in there makes you like a normal dude.
Yeah, I feel like I know on my list a lot of the stuff is two extremes. And it really illustrates the differences in characters and personalities. When you push someone to extremes, you're going to see who they really are. And I think a lot of the best movies do that to illustrate what people... Because at the end of anything that you invest your time in, you want to get to the center of shit, you know? Like, you want to know who that person is. And the best way to learn who anyone is, I feel, is like just to push them until they break.
Right. And they did it. He did it to himself. Ed Norton's great. Like he's us or me or the viewer or whatever. He sees the abyss and he sees how inviting it is and he's like teetering on the edge and then just whatever. And then there's Helena Bonham Carter as Marla in her pre-pimped out Tim Burton thing when she was like a real steady actress.
Yeah. Well, she's all... I'm always surprised that she's doesn't get better roles. Or maybe she doesn't want them.
Eileen.
Yeah, well, she's a great actress.
She was in Harry Potter.
She was?
Yeah. And what's your number 8?
Fight Club was on the list. I got 20 of them before I started cutting them down.
Oh, so it was on the
and
first
Fight
draft.
Club was 11. And I went with American History X instead. But 8, Pan's Labyrinth, 2006. Ever see it?
Yes, and I was very surprised to see this on your list. Tell me why.
Oh, dude, I fucking loved every second of that movie. I was very surprised I saw it. It was one of those movies that was like, I heard it was good from somebody. And I was like, fuck it. I was by myself. I was like, I'll give it a try. And I couldn't believe the premise of the movie. Like, it looked like this fairy tale. By all the previews I saw, it was like this fairy tale land where this girl follows this, like, fawn or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like they left out this whole thing where it's set in 1944 Spain, where revolutionaries are trying to take over the country. And that's just as much, probably even more, at play than the fairy tale. They combine the animation of a children's movie. It's almost like a warped Alice in Wonderland kind of thing.
It very is. Like I said, this seems to be a little more my speed than yours, with the fantastic elements, the fantastic aspects. I really did enjoy it when it came out, and you're right, it is magical. But I don't really think it's a children's movie. Do you?
I don't think it's it's definitely for adults.
Yeah.
But it has all the magic of a children's movie that, like you said, I like Toy Story, but it's not like the dude went all out for it. It has, I want to warn people, it has subtitles.
Yeah, it's Spanish.
But you immerse yourself so much in the movie that you don't, by like 15 minutes, and you don't even realize that you're reading what they're saying. It was such an original movie, and the twists and turns. It has this girl going, she has to complete 3 tasks to become a princess or something, and it seems so like fantastical. Is that a word? That it can't exist, but it's happening at the same time as all this fucking violence. And I love violence. I do.
Everybody does.
So, I mean, it was that. I love that movie.
Yeah, Guillermo del Toro. Very good movies. Very good filmmaker. He's finally making another movie this year that isn't Hellboy. He was supposed to direct The Hobbit, but he dropped out.
Yeah, Peter Jackson kicked him out.
Well, I don't know. It was taking too long or something. I don't know what was going on. But. Moving on. Number 7. The Big Lebowski. 1998. So much can be said about this movie. I don't really know where to start. It really is incredible. And I'm really sort of torn on whether to be happy about or lament the douchey cult status that it has achieved on the internet. You know?
I know. It's like that because we found it before that.
Before the internet, before the became a thing?
At least I think so. Who knows? But that's what I like to believe. It is. I have this on my list as well. I don't want to skip ahead, but we don't have to really much. I have it at 6. You have it at 7.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I really think it's the best dialogue-driven movie ever. You're hanging on every word these guys say. And
that's hard when
it's impossible.
When a movie, like, you have to pay attention, and you enjoy paying attention to it, you know?
I loved... If I had any balls, this would be number 1. Because this was the only DVD I owned through college. I could just watch it over and over.
Turn it on at any time, any part. I'm sure you can quote it. I can apply it.
Every line.
Any situation I'm in, any day. Seriously, like day for it. I mean, the characters are memorable. It's another detective story, and instead of our detectives or heroes being on the fringe of society, this time he's totally out of society. Everybody kicked its ass, from John Goodman, Bridges, obviously, Buscemi. This was my first introduction to the great Philip Seymour Hoffman. Brand. But out of all those people, out of all those Walter quotes, I think Tara Reid's quote as Bunny is probably the most memorable.
What? Suck your cock for $1,000.
Yeah, suck your cock for $1,000. Brand can't watch though, right?
I can't even watch. I can't even watch that with anybody else because they get so annoyed at me from just saying every line of the movie. I can't help myself. Best comedy ever, in my opinion. Walter might be the best character ever.
Walter Sobchak.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. I remember I saw this movie for the first time with my dad, like when it came out, and he was just laughing his ass off. And I only I got some of it, I got like half of everything that was going on because I'm like 14.
Yeah. When was it? 1998. Yeah.
So like 12, 14, something like that. And I remember, I think we were in high school, and we went to the movie store to rent movies.
Video City.
I'm like, you guys ever seen A Big Lebowski? Like, the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, it's really funny. We laughed for like 3 hours.
We laughed that whole movie. One of the best experiences of my life.
All right. Number 7. What do you have for 7?
7. The Descendants.
That's brand new, isn't it?
Brand new. The newest film I chose. Like I said before, it's hard for me to choose new movies and put them ahead of like the movies I'd watched.
Okay.
And have sat in my memory.
This one allowed you to do that.
I think that this movie was so emotionally raw and true. And I think it might be the most... I think in time it might move up. It was so good. Clooney absolutely destroyed this film. His every move is captivating. I don't want to ruin it because it did just come out. But it's like he's a lawyer whose family life got away from a little bit. It's understandable. Probably happens to a lot of people. Everyone probably has someone in their family that's kind of like that get too immersed in their work. And
at some point, it probably happens to everybody.
Yeah.
It might not be forever, but at some point, I'm sure you get caught up in stuff.
Exactly, and he gets thrown back into this whirlwind of his family in like the most extreme situation where his wife got in a jet ski accident and winds up in a coma, and he has to come back home and go get his daughter from school and his young daughter, and to add that to the fact that his wife is in a coma, his young daughter, teenage daughter, tells him that his wife has been cheating on him, and that's why that they had been fighting for the last year and planned to get a divorce. And then he sets out...
Harsh.
What's that?
It's harsh.
Yeah. And every look on his face is, like, perfect because it's like he's a man, He doesn't want to get emotional about it, but then he does. And he sets out to find this dude that she was cheating on him with. And then his family has been living in Hawaii forever and are trying to sell like this billions of dollars worth of land. And all his family's counting on him. And at the same time, he has to comfort his 2 daughters as their mother dies,
It's a lot to take on.
And with all that, every scene is just... It's either heart-wrenchingly sad or so funny that you can't stop laughing. And to be able to combine those 2 emotions like that in a movie over and over, it's just what a great work of art.
Sounds impressive. I haven't seen it. I'm kind of glad, though. I believe you that it's great, but I can get emotional during movies. Or just stories, I guess. But
Me too. And I'm sitting there biting my lip or my tongue the whole time to not cry in front of everyone at the movies, I actually saw this in the theaters, and It surpassed everything I could. Like, I think it's a fucking travesty that the artist beat it for the Oscar because it's the most real movie. And maybe it hits home a little bit more for me than a lot of people would, but I've seen a lot of emotions on people's faces, and they match what's going on there. So,
well, I don't think I like straightforward dramas very much. I don't know why. Movies about people in shitty situations, I don't know, it's just boring, I think. I don't know why. It just has to be like like we were talking about earlier, like extreme situations. But this does sound like a pretty extreme situation. You know, it's not just that she's cheating on him, or it's not just that he has this. It's like all this stuff combined. So maybe I might be able.
And you like what you like. It's just something that comes together, and it just becomes all too real as you watch him go through it. But I don't want it to make it sound like this. It is sad, but it's fucking hilarious too.
Okay.
It's so funny because it's like his daughter. He picks up his daughter, who swears all the time, and then like the younger sister starts picking up on that. But then she has like this stoner boyfriend that comes along with him the whole time because she doesn't want to feel alone.
Yeah.
And he is just the funniest dude ever. Like the mom comes out with Alzheimer's and is like says something. He's like, "You fucking serious?" And then the grandpa punches the kid in the face. Like it is hilarious. After the first, like I've watched it several times because it was on HBO. But like after the first shock of seeing it, it then becomes a little more and more funny. You know, after you get over.
To handle.
Right, but I've seen it several times, and it definitely stands out and steps up.
All right. Well, if you speak that highly of it, then
I suggest you see it.
Okay. Number 6. Speaking about emotional and fantastic, mine is Field of Dreams. Kevin Costner, 1989. This movie, I like fantasy everything, and we've talked about it. We talked about it today, and I understand that like full-blown fantasy, like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or whatever, that's not for everybody, and it's not even my favorite either. I think the best kind of fantasies are when magic creeps into the real world, creeps into our world. And that's exactly what this movie does. If you like baseball, or if you have a father, or this movie would probably stir up lots of shit inside you if you've never seen it. But I'm sure most people have seen it. And James Earl Jones is awesome.
I haven't seen it for a while, and I remember when I saw it, I probably didn't give a shit. I don't know. It never really hit me as something that was like this big thing. Not to talk down on it, but
No, that's fine. Whatever. I just watch it again sometime.
you're probably right. And I think a lot of things change as you get older.
Old. I mean, it is old. So when you saw it, you were probably like 5 years old.
That's probably true.
Oh, yeah, you had Lebowski at 6. We just talked about it. So, I mean, unless you have anything else you want to add, I think we can just keep going.
Yep, go.
All right, my number 5, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, the third installment of Indiana Jones. I chose this one rather than Raiders, and I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's more magical, more fantastic. I was always really interested in like theology and archaeology, and I think like this movie is the reason why. But that's still why I love it. I wanted to be an archaeologist until I was in like high school. The Ark of the Covenant is cool and all, and yeah, it's a lot older, but the Holy Grail is the prize. So Indy shows a softer side in this one. He's still badass. It's funnier. Sean Connery's awesome, and there's Nazis in it. It's it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever saw. You know, I remember watching a couple. My uncle loves those movies, and I remember watching one or two of them. But I was so young at the time. You have a lot of older ones. You seem like you have a lot of more from your childhood than I do.
Probably.
Well,
definitely. If you're looking at it.
When was Field of Dreams?
89.
When was Indiana Jones?
89 also.
So I'm not saying obviously you've watched them more than that.
Yeah, I mean these are regulars, and there might be a nostalgic factor, but I think that's something you can't really get away from.
Right. And Indiana
I
Jones.
watch movies now. Like I just watched The Avengers the other day, and it's awesome. I mean, it was good, I watched Dark Knight Rises again the other day, and it's awesome. It was good, but like, I don't know. It's just they're just not that special for whatever reason.
Yeah, I think you get into it's hard. That's why I kind of tried to take that out a little bit for myself, how special they might be. But at the same time, like I said, that's probably the only real way to do it. And
But I think these ones are special not just because of myself. I think that they're quality films. They're, like I said, it has that magical thing to it. Like,
I understand. I mean, it's Spielberg, right?
yeah, it's a Spielberg.
So it's not like this is some shit movie that fucking Miramax decided to throw out there because they wanted to.
Yeah, in like 97 or Miramax 97 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, no, it's a good movie.
No, I understand. I'm not trying to.
Did you see Raiders? Did you have seen any of
I've
them?
seen Raiders. Is that the first one?
Yeah, it's the first one with the Ark of the Covenant, and he hates snakes. And
Yes,
he's the guy with the big sword.
That's the one I've seen.
Yeah, that one's really good. But it's
when I saw it, I was a little surprised because usually when people talk about the Indiana Jones movies, that they all or any trilogy, a lot of people always pick the first one.
yeah, and a lot of people hate on this one. Like a lot of Indiana Jones fans hate this one because they feel like it bastardized everything. It made it made a couple of the characters silly or stupid. But I think it added humor to it, and these were like strange circumstances. So I mean, acting silly or acting uncomfortable is fine. And I like the beginning. River Phoenix plays young Indy at the beginning, and you sort of get like a background of everything, of how he is with his father and everything. So it's just a cool movie from beginning to end. It's a popcorn movie, but it's one that you can watch on a Sunday afternoon.
See, I think I need to watch those again. You've talked me into it. I need to watch them all. The Indiana Jones.
The second
movies.
one's pretty bad.
All right, so skip the second one.
Skip the second one, yeah.
What's that one called?
Temple of Doom. And the fourth one's pretty bad, too.
Yeah, you see that?
Yeah, it sucks.
Someone put it on in Christmas. I tried to put it on the Christmas story.
Oh, man.
What?
Christmas Story's good.
I put on the Christmas story, turned off Indiana Jones.
Good job.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Appreciate that.
What's your number 5?
5. The Godfather.
Ooh, good pick.
1972.
1972.
I wasn't alive.
Nor was I.
But I imagine when The Godfather came out, that it was like, everyone was like, holy shit, think of all the things we could do with movies. And maybe it wasn't that. But like, there seems to be this clear line in history, cinematic history, that is like BC, like before Christ.
Yeah.
And it's like before The Godfather. And then after The Godfather, all this stuff
before
started.
the 70s.
Maybe. And maybe that is it. But it was like The Godfather was this huge, monumental. It was like an epic movie, too. It was more than 2 hours long.
Yeah, it's a long one.
And now all the movies are so long. And it feels like it's everything.
Sometimes it's unnecessary, but this one, it's packed full.
What a great movie. If you had to agree on a movie with anyone that maybe had different tastes, you don't know, really, it feels like The Godfather is where you can meet in the middle.
I would say, yeah, I have this one at number 4, so we can talk about it. And I hate to be stereotypical or cliche or whatever, but it really is one of those movies that everybody has to see, especially like a boy or a man or whatever. It has the cast of casts: Al Pacino, James Caan, Robert Duvall, Marlon Brando, Diane Keaton, the lovely Diane Keaton.
Marlon Brando, dude. I don't know much about him, but he seems like a cool fucking dude. He sat out the Oscars.
He did what?
He sat out the Oscar. He said, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I don't want that shit. Fuck you. Can you believe he did that? That is the badass of badasses. I'd be shocked if any self-respecting movie watcher didn't have this on their list.
It's somewhere, yeah. You
It's
got
like
10 of them. You can find room for this guy.
it's like the Sergeant Peppers of movies.
The Sergeant Pepper, man. It's the best. It has everything: revenge, seduction, power, gangster guys doing gangster shit. It's
And
just
dignity.
Cool. Yes, it has.
That's what makes
humility, dignity, but they're like honor and integrity and everything. But
yeah, like when he wouldn't sell heroin, because he thought it'd be bad for the community and all that stuff. Like, obviously,
it showed that he was doing it for the community. He wasn't like a gangster guy. He was just
he wasn't doing it all for money, which typically now anything is just like that.
Anything you do for profit.
I mean, it's hard to put any kind of mafia or gang-related movie above it.
No.
But I do.
But you do. What do you have for number 4?
That's not it. But 4 I have... You're 4. Go ahead.
4 is The Godfather.
Oh, shit. Gangs of New York, which I guess is a little bit different.
A little different.
Daniel Day-Lewis, plus we know how I feel about him.
Still guys taking care of the community and everything. But yeah, I know how you feel about Daniel Day-Lewis. You enjoy his work.
And Leonardo DiCaprio.
DiCaprio, you're a DiCaprio fan.
It's like acting porn.
You're a DiCaprio fan.
If I was a faggot.
Oh, man.
Don't say the F word. This was, I look at this as like a fun movie too. It was long, but it is
long.
It is really long for what it is, but I don't mind long movies because I got long afternoons to fill up.
Okay.
I don't know. It feels like it was a summer movie. I saw it right when it came out, and it just felt like
theaters?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was it's a revenge movie too.
Yeah, that's the best part of it, I think.
And you're cheering for the one dude the whole time, and you're like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? What the fuck? And then all of a sudden, you make your move, and things go how they go. Even Cameron Diaz was all right in it. So
that's what I was going to say. Cameron Diaz.
No?
I love Cameron Diaz, but, in this movie, and she does do well. She does a fine job. But I think it's just her. No matter what, DiCaprio blends in. Daniel Day-Lewis blends in. These guys, but Cameron Diaz, the whole time it was that's Cameron Diaz in a suit. That's Cameron Diaz in a costume.
In the mud and muck.
Yeah, that's Cameron Diaz. She doesn't, she is a beautiful woman, but she just has this face. She stands out all the time.
Well, they tried to dress her up a little bit as this aristocrat acting thief kind of thing.
Yeah, I understand that. But
you're right. It was probably a bad acting decision or a bad casting decision. But she does all right. Like I said, if it was something where she had to exude any kind of emotion or had to put on an acting class,
right?
I don't think it would have went over as well as just her role.
I think she did better in Charlie's Angels, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, you just urinate all over the fucking thing.
I like Gangs of New York.
Scorsese.
Yeah, it's a good Scorsese movie. I like Daniel Day-Lewis in this one. This is my first introduction to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, me too. This was I was like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, he's a badass dude. DiCaprio did a good job. This was early in his Scorsese career.
This is one of the films that all of a sudden he wasn't Jack from Titanic.
He was an actor.
Yeah, they actually gave him a chance, and obviously it's worked out pretty well.
He wasn't Romeo.
Right. He was a good-looking dude, but they popped some facial hair on him and put him in shitty clothes and
scrub him up a little bit. He slums up pretty well.
So you're saying 4 is too high. All right. What do you got at 4?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you.
I like it. Like you said, it's a Scorsese movie. It's good, but I think there are better Scorsese movies.
Oh, maybe we'll have some.
Oh. Well, what's your number 3?
What's your number? Okay. I have The Departed at 3.
DiCaprio and Scorsese again. They come back.
They're back. 4 and 3. It's about, Goodfellas. was hard to leave off.
Uh-huh.
But it was like, that wasn't me, man. That's not me. I'm not from 1990
No, you're not.
when it
Yeah.
came out. So, like, I wanted to say it because I'm sure people think, well, what about Goodfellas? Well, I'm thinking of it, but that's not me. Like, The Departed, I was in my fucking groove at college. I remember going to the movies and seeing it, and, like, we've talked about The Departed before.
We have talked about it. Yeah, you're right.
I think it's such a great modern tragedy. I love.
It actually is a tragedy. There's lots of backstabbing, death, revenge, all that stuff.
And what a great, like, one cop embedded in the mob and one mob member embedded in the cops.
Yeah,
Like, they're
awesome.
both telling on each other. And then you have Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio that are they're rarely ever in the same scene. Only once or twice.
Uh-huh.
And then
those are like, yeah, now that you mention it, they're rarely in it. But when they are, it's like, they get nervous.
yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And they're never in the same screenshot. They're in one same screenshot when Damon goes in, gets the job, and leaves, and then DiCaprio's waiting outside the office, like right after they get out of cop camp or whatever they called it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one's on the rooftop.
That's crazy.
So, like, those are, like, two of the biggest actors in Hollywood in the same movie, but never in the same scene. And then when he goes down the elevator, that was maybe bigger than The Sixth Sense. When it was like, holy fucking shit. Can you fucking believe that fucking just fucking happened?
I like this movie. I like the cast. We talked about it before. DiCaprio freaking out, all strung out, all stressed out. Damon, we just talked about being slimy, a slimy bastard. But being smooth about it, though.
Well, he comes off as that, though, doesn't he? Like, even in real life, that's how I kind of think of him. Like, he's a smooth-talking dude, but in the background, he's slimy as shit.
Wahlberg, I think this is my favorite Mark Wahlberg movie.
Yeah,
He's so funny.
His other movies suck.
He's, like, angry and just all over the place. But he's real genuine, too. I really like it. I liked Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin killed it in this movie.
Doing his thing.
Like, Alec Baldwin needs to have confidence. I think he seems like one of those guys. Like, you need to have. Maybe he always has it, but like after 30 Rock was out and stuff, this is when this was that. But I think that was out when this came out.
I think Alec Baldwin has plenty of confidence. He was.
Well, he tore that shit up.
In the 80s.
Yeah, well, that don't mean shit in 2006. All right. I'm sorry.
No. One thing. Speaking of that, one thing I didn't think was I didn't think Nicholson did very well. I think he was like the low point of the film.
See, I never really understood why everyone thought he was like the best actor ever. What is he?
Because everybody that judges things are his age. You know what I mean? Like, he's their guy.
Yeah, but I guess
DiCaprio's the best.
What'd you say?
Like, you think DiCaprio's the best, and even if he comes out with like some shitty movies or it goes downhill, you're still going to think, hey, look what he did here, and here. You know?
That maybe, but like Daniel Day-Lewis is like what he is. They like compare him to Marlon Brando.
It was just a different scene, I guess.
Maybe, and maybe he is great. I mean, One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
that's a good movie with him in it. I just don't know. I don't know where it comes from that he was this unreal act. He does a decent job. I think he does. I don't think it was a weak spot in the movie. But I would probably agree with you that if you had to pick who you would get rid of and replace with somebody else out of those main 5 people,
right?
I'd probably pick him.
I wasn't trying to say that it was a weak spot, but with all those other people, like, lifting themselves up, it felt like he wasn't pulling his weight. I think this is a good pick because I think it's a better movie than Gangs of New York, but like you were talking about Goodfellas earlier, I think I just compare all of them to Goodfellas or whatever.
See, I think I could put The Departed against Goodfellas in good faith and picked the Departed. Now, I know a lot of people think that Goodfellas is the best movie ever made. Like, better than The Godfather. Ray Liotta kills it. Everyone loves Joe Pesci.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like you said, it's not our scene. We don't know.
there's a funny story.
What's that?
So I was in Buffalo for New Year's. Oh, fuck. What am I going to say? And we were watching... It's kind of off topic a lot.
It's okay.
But we were watching Saved by the Bell.
Okay.
And this dude goes... We're watching it, and there's like... Zach and Screech on the screen. And he was like, "Is that Mario Lopez?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Is that Mario Lopez?" I'm like, "It's fucking Zach Morris." And then he didn't know who Joe Pesci was when we were watching My Cousin Vinny. Because Ralph Macchio's in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, I can't believe this is the best thing the Karate Kid did after the Karate Kid." And he says, "Is that him?" And it's Joe Pesci on the screen. I'm like, "You don't know who Joe Pesci is?"
Tell me to get out of the soapbox.
This kid was dumber than hell. I loved every second of being with him.
That's funny.
All right, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Number 3. My number 3. Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
1977. The original. Honestly, I am exhausted by now talking about all this. And we've talked about Star Wars before. And I said at the beginning that I left history and all that shit out of my choices. So I don't care that it was the biggest movie ever when it came out. I don't care that it changed cinema or changed story. I don't care about any of that. I like it because it like takes you away, far, far away.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Right, where everything is a little different, except it's not really. I mean, we have our hero, and except he has a badass laser sword instead. You know, his guide, who he loses, the evil, strange enemy, the overreaching government. I mean, it's all relatable, and they're like all archetypes. You know, like that's I think why kids can understand it because it's just so base. The story is so simple, and it's exciting, and it's flashy, and it's fun. That makes sense?
Yeah. I think you kind of know how I feel about it, too. I think it's worth seeing. I think it was special in the past. I think it's a kid's movie.
It is a kid's movie.
All right.
But kids watch lots of fucking movies. I mean, I don't know. It's just, it is a kid's movie, but adults like to be kids sometimes too. And you can be any of these people. You can be Luke. You can be the hero. You can be the pirate.
Lando.
Lando? Colt 45 Lando. Yeah, you can be Han. And there's, I mean, the princess, the badass, good-looking princess. I mean, everybody's had crushes on princesses, whether they're members of the Galactic Senate, like Princess Leia, or if it's the girl who sat in front of you in 4th grade. You know what I mean? Like, you can be, like, and you see that look on Luke's face. He's a kid. He's 16 years old, doing all this shit. I mean, I watch this movie again and again, but I'm past the point of obsession about it. Like, that's like kid stuff, obsessing about things. So every once in a while, if it's on, I watch it. Or if I see it in my library and don't have anything to do. It's just a warm, fun, comfortable place. And it's funny. It's still funny. Han still has those one-liners. I mean, you talked about the one-liners before. And I don't remember when we were talking about this. But like I said, I was watching The Avengers the other day. And Robert Downey Jr. just reminded me of Han Solo the whole time. Just with his, like, those shitty one-liner jokes that you thought weren't funny.
Yeah, I didn't like The Avengers.
Yeah,
but I did like Robert Downey Jr. If I made a movie, I think it'd be good to have Robert Downey Jr. as the lead.
Yeah.
I think he'd be like one of those guys that are famous but not too famous to take over the whole movie. Kind of like Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
Kevin Spacey is a great actor. Tell me about American Beauty.
Yeah,
Why?
two. I have American Beauty. What a great movie that was. American, what's that?
Beautiful.
American satire on white suburban America that probably ended up being a little too real to a little bit too many people.
That's what I was going to say. I don't really think it's a satire, though I can see why you say that and why other people say that. It does pick apart the American suburban lifestyle, but I don't think it's poking fun at it to show that it's crazy. I think that's really the way it is in a lot of families, in a lot of cases.
And maybe that, and I think it borders on the line, because it is pushed to the extreme. He quits his job, he blackmails his boss for $60,000 because he
broccoli against the wall.
Yeah, he buys his sports car. He starts smoking pot all the time. He gets a job at the fast food restaurant. Like, these are things that any normal person probably wouldn't do. But maybe he would, So it's like, oh, what a beautiful movie. Up until yesterday, I had this at number one.
I was a little thrown off when it was number 2.
I watched the other one yesterday on New Year's Day, so it kind of changed my mind a little bit. Which it's probably interchangeable. You know how that stuff happens.
I bet the top 3 are interchangeable.
Yeah, probably, depending on what I saw last.
And your mood. But anyway, keep talking about this.
Yeah, Spacey doesn't disappoint very often.
No,
He's kind of one of those, and like I said, that's why he doesn't overshadow that movie. It isn't like Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. His performance overshadows what the movie was about because it's so good, and it's almost all you remember from it.
Right, he became like a spectacle.
And that's great. I love that movie. But if you have the script, you have Annette Bening, and you have the cast, and it will work. If you need that lead actor that is willing to put out a great performance, but not overwhelm the scene, And I feel like he did that. He's trapped. So the point of the movie is the dude's trapped in a dead-end job, in a loveless marriage, and he fights to revert back. And it's a midlife crisis story for any
right
midlife.
And it's you've seen it before, but not this well done, or this well shot, or this well acted, or this well put together.
Yeah, and he reverts back to this. He tries to revert back to this time when he was free, when he was younger, when he had his whole life in front of him, so you could see your life ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's at the end when he finds out that the girl's that's been talking about sex the whole time is a virgin. He all of a sudden becomes his father figure again, and he realizes what his life was about. It was like the epitome of a midlife crisis. It's you see what's important now. And then he was free to live the rest of whatever may be his life in peace.
Yeah, however he wanted.
And happily.
Spacey's good. The movie's beautiful. I love the look of it, the feel of it, the atmosphere. And it has its funny moments. It is funny.
It is funny. It's a comedy. It really is.
But there are some... I can compare this to Fight Club and a lot of the other movies around this time, where it's where you're reevaluating your life, live a better life, do this better, make better choices, sort of thing.
So what was it? This is 99. I think a lot of stuff.
I don't know what
as
it was.
we
I think maybe the turn
approach
of the century.
millennium.
Yeah, everybody was freaking out.
But it was the New Year's time to million.
Yeah.
You're looking back, and you're look how much. Think about looking. I was too young. I mean, I wasn't that young, but I was 15. Looking back at the millennium and just see how much everything has changed. And if anyone reflects on in 1920, they didn't have a TV.
Right.
They didn't have airplanes.
It's a big change, and a big change to the family structure And that's you see it in this movie. And like I said last time with Fight Club, like a little bit of Fight Club in your personality will help you not be a dick. I think a little bit of American Beauty in your life does the same thing.
I agree.
Just a little more perspective. Just don't be a dick. Live your life a little bit better. You don't have to buy into everything we're saying, but just soak it in a little bit.
Nice job there, cleaning it up.
Thank you.
What do you got? What do you got?
For me, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters, eh?
Ghostbusters. It was hard to put this in two. That's just how it shook out. I mean, like you said, it could probably things can go anywhere. I watched this a few weeks ago by myself, and I laughed and laughed and laughed. It's like these three grown men, these three doctors, but they're like all losers,
Yeah.
And they figure out how to trap ghosts, and they go into business for themselves, trapping ghosts. It's easily the best movie Dan Aykroyd ever made.
Yeah, fuck Blues Brothers.
Cross the streams when he buys the car, and he's like, just these shocks, brakes, these front end alignment. He just starts listing all these things, and Murray's like, okay, yeah, how much? Only $4,800. Jesus Christ.
I think that's the best way to watch that movie. By yourself, where there's no expectations for anyone around you, and you can just
entertainment.
Love it.
This is where I fell in love with Bill Murray. I still say the flowers are still standing probably once every 2 weeks. But the quotable shit doesn't mean anything. I mean, they're real characters, even though it is like a fantastic situation. They feel real, even though the situation's so out of the ordinary. I have no idea how anybody really would act.
No, you're right. You can't. But that's the great part about it. It's like asking someone a question that there's no right answer to.
Right. It just shows you like about people, about the human condition. And as much as I love Bill Murray, I think the best part of this movie is probably Rick Moranis.
That guy, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
When he gets locked out of his apartment, when he thinks there's a bear in his apartment, starts talking to the horse, and he starts like sniffing the popcorn. Oh my god!
Sigourney Weaver in that movie?
Yes, and she like I never got why people thought she was sexy before, but on my last viewing, she was looking pretty good.
All right, let me ask you this. I was a Ghostbusters fan. I like the movie. It's been a long time since I saw it. Was there a cartoon?
Yes.
Was that after the movie?
I think it was, yeah. It was after.
So the movie came out first, and then they put out this stuff for kids.
Yeah.
Because I know I was a Ghostbuster for Halloween.
I don't think this original one was made for kids, but I think the second one sort of was.
But the idea was for just this movie. That's incredible.
It's just, yeah, they thought this up.
What a great idea that is. I wouldn't even have contemplated it without you putting on your list.
All right.
So, yeah, go ahead. You go first.
All right, I did Back to the Future. 1985.
So what was Ghostbusters?
84.
All right.
Godfather, I think, is my oldest one. Most of mine are from 84 through, 2000.
You went older than me. I think my oldest was 1994. Or other than The Godfather. It was 1994. But go ahead.
This movie more times than I can count.
Back to the Future?
Yeah. And like I said before, with the I didn't think about it until, and I always knew this, but I didn't really know for sure until, I put this list together, that I love this fantastic stuff, this magical stuff. And I guess in this case it's science, but in our world, science and magic is pretty close to each other, wouldn't you say?
It's magic covered up by science.
It's called science, yeah.
Believable.
Yeah, it creeps into the real world. An ordinary 17-year-old sent back in time. This is the movie I compare all other movies to. And I think it's classic storytelling. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. There's a climax. There's a denouement. All rising action. Everything's in there.
Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's structured perfectly, and it's humorous, but it's touching. But like it doesn't get like wishy-washy, the touching stuff, because there's so many obstacles that he has to keep getting put in front of him. Obstacles. There's an enemy. There's a clear enemy, a clear goal. Christopher Lloyd is the wild sidekick, the Doc. That's an iconic character, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. Holds a huge soft spot in my heart. I love Back to the Future.
I love it too.
I remember it has a lot of great nostalgia tied to it as well for me. I remember like my parents used to go out and my aunt used to watch us. And she was still dating my uncle at the time. And he'd be like, "We'll get Back to the Future." And I'd be like, "Awesome! I can't wait till Uncle Mike watches me again so I can see Back to the Future 2. And then I can't wait to see Uncle Mike watch me again so I can see Back to the Future 3. Like, I remember, like, looking forward to my parents going out. When you're a younger kid, that's a big thing. Like, you don't want your parents to leave. I wanted them to leave so I could see Back to the Future.
Awesome.
It stands today.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing today. I mean, the special effects stand up pretty well, but you could never make it better. You could never make the story better. The actors couldn't do better. You know what I mean? Like, at this time, there's remaking a lot of 80s movies. They're even remaking 90s movies now, but I don't think they could ever really remake Back to the Future.
They will, but it won't be as good.
Right.
It's only a matter of time. But I agree. Ghostbusters, I liked it. I haven't seen it in a while. But take it or leave it for me. Back to the Future, all day, all night, can't go. So, I love Back to the Future. I'm happy to see it at number one. I'm happy to see one of us making emotional decisions.
Okay. But you didn't get emotional in this decision?
I guess. I don't know. I switched American Beauty to 2. Number one, Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. I'm surprised it did not make my list. It was hovering in my brain.
I was too. I was a little surprised.
Make it.
I had it at 2, and it came. I woke up hungover yesterday, New Year's Day. Came downstairs at my buddy's house, and it just started. Like they're in the cafe, and everyone was sitting around. Somehow I got the remote, kind of take control like that.
Coffee. These man.
and I put it on, and everyone started watching it. And everyone's talking.
Yeah.
No one's really. I'm paying attention, but a lot of people aren't paying attention. Say what again? I dare you. By that point, everyone was focused on the movie.
Uh-huh.
And it was just like, it just reiterated how good that movie really is. And I really feel like if The Godfather was a line in the sand, so was Pulp Fiction.
Things changed after it.
I think, and what do I know? Because I was young, but it's like the intertwining stories began to pop up all the time. Like after
right, yeah,
that.
it definitely changed things.
And like I often look at movies as a piece of art because just as painting is art, as music is art, as filmmaking is art, in my opinion, I feel like they're all on the same level. If you're a great painter, you're a great musician, you're a great artist. I said painter. Whatever. A director, actor. I feel like you're all artists.
Put work into his craft.
Right. And although, and then, like we said before, any movie could be art. If it's funny, it's good. Anything that can make you feel is art, in my opinion. But
it's a good definition.
The dialogue comes alive in the movie, and some shit is so whacked out that you're like, this had to happen,
right?
For him to even
think that up. Yeah.
I wish I had a pot. You were laying there and wish you had some pot? No, silly. I wish I had a pot belly. What? What are you talking about, you crazy bitch? I never realized how crazy that bitch was until, like, just this last one. And I don't think there's been a movie more rewarding each time you watched it that was just like, you either go out a little bit more or just appreciated something a little bit more each time you watch it.
Connection to one of the characters, maybe. You know?
Yeah.
There's so many of them.
And the characters are unforgettable. You know? A Tarantino film's a Tarantino film now, right? I mean...
Yeah, but not now. This one was...
Yes, but this is what made a film a Tarantino film.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I think I said it backwards. That, like, now a Tarantino film is obviously a Tarantino film, and it has all those aspects. But this one was just a badass, crazy movie. It did everything that it does now, but it did it perfectly. You know, it set the stage, it set the tone for everything else. And
it was like, and I was just watching it yesterday, and we were watching it, and they were like, "This is weird." Like, the people that hadn't saw it, they're like, "It's good, but it's weird." I was like, "Wait till you see what happens next." And then they'd be like, "Oh, that was weird." I was like, "Wait till you see what happens next." It's just like every part of it's just like a build up.
That's weird that there's people that haven't seen it.
Well, I know. Well, you'd be surprised.
That's strange.
What a glorious achievement in film. I mean, and it might not have been, like I said, good, and it sounds contradictory that Goodfellas wasn't my thing, but to say Pulp Fiction is my thing. But like I said, I feel like Pulp Fiction was that line in the sand.
That's a different voice, though. That was a different voice. Scorsese, I mean, he made his mark in the 70s, even though he's still making movies today. But this is where this is where his voice comes from. You know?
And I feel like that's our thing now.
Yeah, that's our thing now. Yeah, because everybody after that latched on to a piece of it. And even if they don't do it on purpose, which I'm sure they don't, but like nothing would ever be the same again after that movie.
And he's been talking, like Tarantino's been talking about retiring, and some people are upset about it, but I feel like he has good movies in him, but I don't care because I have Pulp Fiction.
Yeah. Which is your favorite little story?
My favorite little story?
From the movie, like your favorite section.
I love the fucking Butch. I love the Butch story.
Ah, okay. I was gonna say that one, but I said the Bonnie situation.
Bonnie situation. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I mean, after they
get out about touching the brain.
That's good. That's good. The thing about the pawn shop is it's just like so fucking crazy that only it's like that was like a line to cross.
You know, like that's like it could only happen in a movie.
Well, one thing I love about it is so Bruce Willis has to get his fucking watch. I told her 1,000 fucking times. And I love how he yells at her, says sorry, and then starts screaming in his car by himself because that's
it's okay. You know.
Then he gets in the car.
Okay, I'll be right back. That stupid fucking.
I love it because it's so real. And then he goes in and no one's there, so he starts making a Pop-Tart. And what fucking luck that he's in the bathroom. You know, everyone's like, oh, that's a cop-out, you know?
No, it's like a series of crazy events.
Right, so it's like this great luck led to him walking in there at the exact time that Travolta was in the bathroom. Then he gets back in the car, and the worst luck ever happens when the dude just crosses the street right in front of him, you know? So it's like, it offsets itself so much that it's brilliant. That like, yeah, we're going to give him all this luck here, and then they take it all away, you know? He's smiling, driving back, and then all of a sudden the dude just walks in front of him. And then Zed is dead, baby. Zed is dead.
Whose motorcycle is that? It's not a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper.
Who's Saw Person?
Zed's baby. Where's Zed? Zed's dead. Forget that shit. We're gonna miss this. Yeah, fiction is very good.
Do you feel ashamed?
Do I what?
Feel ashamed for not having it on your list?
No, I don't feel ashamed. Do you have any honorable mentions that didn't make your list that should have? If you had an 11 or...
And like I said, Fight Club was close. What's my favorite older movie?
What do you mean?
Like an old black and white movie.
Oh.
12 Angry Men.
Okay.
Fucking loved. I remember, and it was one of those things, like I remember watching it, was like 9 with my old man. And just being like, this is a great movie. And I've watched it since, and it's still a great movie. It's like a jury, and everyone thinks the dude's guilty except for the one dude. And and eventually he ends up, and it's like, there's no other scenes. It's just in the jury, and he has to talk all these other people in, and eventually he starts convincing one by one that the dude's innocent.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I love that movie.
I think if I was going to go like old, like those black and white, I guess I would say Casablanca.
Great movie. That's another one that was there too.
Like Casablanca.
That one's relatable. As to like Gone with the Wind, can't have it.
No, I don't like that stuff.
But Casablanca.
Nikki hates The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz is good.
I never get to watch it.
The new one's coming out.
Oz, the great and powerful.
Yeah, James Franco.
Remember when he was like supposed to be the man?
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Oz.
Whatever. All right. Well, that was long. That was fun, though.
That was long. It was. I had a good time, and if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.